to real estate orgies, sales parties for invited guests who were armed with option arm and Alt-A loans.
There were red ropes outside. They had hired cameramen and they had hired photographers to almost set the scene of a paparazzi.
They were hiring fake paparazzi to make the customers feel like they were special.
You were selling a lifestyle.
What role did these exotic mortgages play, these Alt-A's and the option arms?
They were essential. They were necessary. Without the Alt-A or option arm mortgage, this boom never would have occurred.
It never would have occurred because without the Alt-A's and the option arms, many buyers never would have qualified for a loan. The banks and the brokers were getting their money up front in fees, so the more they wrote, the more they made.
They stopped checking whether the income was even real. They turned to low and no doc loans, so-called liar's loans, and jokingly referred to as ninja loans. No income, no job, no assets, and they were still willing to lend.
But help me out here. How does that make sense for the lender? It would seem to be reckless in the extreme.
It was, but the key assumption underlying the willingness to do this was that home prices would keep going up forever. And in fact, home prices nationwide had never declined since the Great Depression.
On the way up, everyone wanted in. No one expected to feel any pain. People like acupuncturist Rula Geosmus became real estate speculators.
How many properties did you buy in this last 5-year period?
I believe in the last 5-year period I bought about 6 properties.
And what did you buy them for?
For investments.
She says she put 20% down on each. Now they're all financed with option arm loans.
What did you understand about the loans?
Well, unfortunately, I didn't ask too many questions. I mean, in the old days, I would shop around, but because of the frenzy, and I was so busy looking to buy other properties, I didn't really focus on shopping around for mortgage brokers.
But if you're investing in real estate, you're buying multiple properties, you should be asking a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Why didn't you ask?
I was busy. I was really busy looking at property all the time, all day long.
Did you read the paperwork?
No, I didn't.
Now she's losing money on every property.
You know that there are people watching this interview who are saying, you know, she was just foolish. She was greedy and foolish. She was buying small apartment buildings and wasn't paying enough attention to how they were financed.
My full-time job is I'm an acupuncturist, so this is just a side thing.
You're an acupuncturist, but you got stuck in real estate.
Yeah.
Geosmus says she was misled and she hopes to renegotiate her loans. But many other buyers have simply walked away from their properties. This Miami luxury building was a sellout, but when we visited, a quarter of the condos were in foreclosure.
What did this place go for?
This was originally purchased in October of 2006 for $2.4 million.
$2.4 million? What's it worth now?
The asking price from the lender is $939.
So it lost $1.5 million in value in a couple of years?
It was a tough 2 years.
And there are tough years to come, because just like the subprimes, the Alt-A and option arm mortgages were bundled into Wall Street securities and sold to investors.
In a nutshell, 2009 looks like what to you?
Miserable.
2010?
Miserable, even worse.
Sean Egan runs a credit rating firm that analyzes corporate debt. Fortune magazine cited Egan as one of 6 Wall Street pros who predicted the fall of the financial giants.
This next wave of defaults, which everyone agrees is inevitably going to happen, how central is that to what happens to the rest of the economy?
It's core. It's core because housing is such an important part. We're not going to get the housing industry back on track until we clear out this garbage that's in there.
That hasn't cleared out yet.
In fact,
we haven't seen the bottom.
It's getting worse.
What do you mean?
There are some statistics from the National Association of Realtors, and they track the supply of housing units on the market, and that's grown from 2.2 million units about 3 years ago up to 4.5 million units earlier this year. So you have the massive supply out there of units that need to be sold.
Well, with the housing supply increasing that much, what does it mean?
It means that this problem, the economic difficulties, are not going to be resolved in a short period of time. It's not going to take 6 months. It's not going to take 12 months. We're looking at probably about 3, 4, or 5 years before this overhang, the supply overhang, is worked through.
In the next 4 years, 8 million American families are expected to lose their homes. But even after the residential meltdown, Whitney Tilson says blows to the financial system will keep coming.
The same craziness that occurred in the mortgage market occurred in the commercial real estate market, and that's taking a little longer to show, but there are going to be big losses there. Credit cards, auto loans, you name it. So we're maybe halfway through the mortgage bubble, but we may only be in the third inning of the overall bursting of this asset bubble.
Does that mean that the stock market is going to continue plunging as we've seen the last several months?
Actually, we're the most bullish we've been in 10 years of managing money, and the reason is because the stock market, for the first time, I can say this in years, has finally figured out how bad things are going to be, and the stock market is forward-looking. And with U.S. stocks down nearly 50% from their highs, we're actually finding bargains galore. We think corporate America is on sale.
The stock market will still have a lot of figuring to do, with more troubling news on the horizon. The Mortgage Bankers Association says 1 out of 10 Americans is now behind on their mortgage. That's the most since they started keeping records in 1979.